Imagine a roadmap that can fast track your life to financial freedom. In society, we are all taught to save, invest, and wait 40 years with compound interest before wealth might happen to you if you do everything correctly. The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ Demarco is not just another self-help book. It is a book that has changed my life and has the potential to change yours as well, because it challenges all of the traditional norms that you and I have learned about money, really arguing that the traditional ways of thinking really keep people stuck in the slow lane of life. If you're new here, my name is Alice and I'm a chartered professional accountant, and we discuss personal finance, business, and self-improvement on my channel. So do me a favor, please hit the like button. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you like this sort of content. And let's get right into today's video. There comes a point in every little hypoallergenic dog's groom cycle where they're just like peak cute. Like she's like 2 weeks post groom and she is like peak cute right now. Is that right? Look right in there. Now, why is this the best personal finance book to exist? There are thousands of books about personal finance out there that talk about investing, mutual funds, ETFs, dollar cost averaging, compound interest. This book, in my opinion, is better than 99.99% of books out there that talk about money and business. The reason why I like this book so much is that MJ Demarco really encourages the reader to think beyond what we're taught traditionally. MJ Demarco really encourages the reader to think big, that life doesn't even change until you're making at least $100,000 a month. And that it is beyond possible for a person in today's day and age to make $100,000, $200,000 a month, even up to $1 million a month. And I personally do know people that are doing those sorts of numbers, and it absolutely is possible when you are living a life in the millionaire fast lane. I really hope that that provides some perspective, because $100,000, $200,000, that is an annual salary. In Canada, $200K a year is an annual executive salary. That's assuming that you did everything right in your professional career, and you may hit that when you're in your 40s or 50s. A lot of people in real life, your friends, your parents may try to convince you that this sort of lifestyle is not possible, but this book will allow you to understand that it absolutely is. The premise of Millionaire Fastlane is that in order to build massive wealth, you as an individual cannot just rely on the markets to create wealth. A lot of traditional financial advice preaches the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. But the FIRE movement and traditional wealth building strategies are starting to become more and more outdated, especially with the internet and social media today. And in this book, MJ Demarco talks about how in order to become a millionaire, what you really need is explosive net income. By becoming a producer to society, aka somebody who creates and adds value to society and impacts a lot of people with scale and magnitude. And once you're able to make this sort of income through a business, you can put that money into the markets for wealth preservation and growth. But it's not just any business. There are specific elements that a business needs to have in order to be a fast lane business. So which character are you? There are 3 characters that are introduced in this book. And the difference between these 3 characters fundamentally comes down to their wealth equation. So how a person fundamentally believes that wealth is created, and just their overall financial responsibility and behaviors when it comes to money. First, we have the Sidewalker. A Sidewalker is someone who will never build wealth. Being a Sidewalker has nothing to do with income. Actually, you can be very educated, you can even own a business, make a lot of money, and be a Sidewalker, because generally speaking, they are not financially responsible. A Sidewalker is in a perpetual cycle of income creating a lifestyle, that lifestyle creating expectations, and as a result, they end up spending most of what they make to feed their lifestyle, which ends up creating expectations. And as a result, a Sidewalker falls into something called lifestyle servitude, meaning that instead of you as an individual owning stuff, the stuff owns you. And for a Sidewalker, their wealth equation is income plus debt. The most humbling thing that we can take away from this Sidewalker character is that more money is not a solution to poor financial management. Next is the slow lane. The slow lane is what we're taught by society, which is to go to school, get a job, climb up a corporate ladder, so that you can save a percentage of your paycheck and put that money into the markets. Now for the slow lane, wealth is job plus investments. Some people also call this the FIRE movement as well, meaning that you want to put your money into index funds and 401ks so that you get money from compound interest to grow, you can retire early, and you can sit on a beach once you retire. This is also known as the FIRE movement. And for the slow lane, wealth is your job plus market investments. The problem with the slow lane is that it's slow. You are trading your time for money, and then you are giving up 5 days of your life for 2 days off, and then having to rely on solely the markets as a form of wealth growth. And when you trade time with money, the only way that you can build wealth is to save and invest. Now, saving and investing is really important, and this does work, again, just over a 40 to 50 year period. So saving and investing are required. It's necessary. All wealthy people save and invest their money, but this is just one part of the puzzle. It's not the full puzzle if you want to make a lot of money in this lifetime. And lastly, we have the fast lane. Now in the fast lane, the goal is to reshape your entire life's purpose to become a producer. In other words, you are somebody that produces or creates value for society, and you become someone that understands how to do this, how to solve problems for other people, rather than being a consumer. A consumer is someone who's obsessed with buying stuff that other people have produced. And the fast lane wealth equation is profit plus asset value, specifically profit from a business, and asset value, which is basically the value of your business. Another thing to point out is that in the fast lane, you also have control and unlimited leverage. Control just means that you are in control of your income. You have the ability to change variables or change things related to your business so you could potentially earn more. The fast lane here is all about creating large sums of wealth rapidly beyond the confines of the slow lane, or what most people in society will tell you to do. And in the fast lane, time is truly the most valuable asset, and you get to take ownership of your life with control. So what are some differences between being in the slow lane and being in the fast lane? People in the millionaire slow lane are very cheap and very frugal. They're very, very frugal because they have to live below their means in order for the millionaire formula to work. Fast lane millionaires are cheap with their time. They understand that time is their most precious and valuable asset. That money can come and go, but you can never get your time back. You can never go back in time. Slow lane millionaires get MBAs. Fast lane millionaires hire MBAs. Slow lane millionaires work for their time. Fast lane millionaires have time working for them. And probably the most important one of all, slow lane millionaires use the markets to create wealth. Fast lane millionaires use the markets for wealth preservation, liquidity, and capital deployment. When it comes to building and creating wealth, the importance of process cannot be understated. Many people believe that wealth is a single-time event. Wealth tends to elude a lot of people because they get preoccupied with what's going on in the world. But without process, there is no wealth, and there never will be wealth. Winners are forged at the red line, which is characterized by complete, unadulterated commitment. Simply put, no business and money systems are created overnight. If you hear about a founder or a business owner who sold their business for $50 million, that founder or business owner went through a process. There was a backstory of trial, risk, and error behind that founder's success story. If you try to skip process, there will never be events or outcomes. But society doesn't like to talk about process or glamorize process because society is obsessed with instant gratification and having things immediately. Working hard isn't enough. You have to work hard and work smart, because if you just work hard, just working so hard, it doesn't really guarantee that you're going to build wealth if you're not applying yourself to the correct thing in life. MJ Demarco really encourages you to understand that opportunity really is anywhere. Any gap in a market is an opportunity, a potential opportunity for you. Successful businesses rarely evolve for some sort of legendary idea. Yeah, there are some legendary businesses out there, but you can absolutely win on execution. You don't need to invent a brand new product with a patent. Starbucks wins in the coffee industry. Starbucks did not invent coffee. They were not first to market for coffee. They won on execution. Remember what I said earlier that not all businesses are Fastlane businesses, but there are a few different components that Fastlane businesses are built upon. The first is rental systems. So this could be real estate, leases, royalty, licensing. By far one of the most traditional forms of systems that Fastlane businesses are built on. The second is software or computer systems. So this is anything related to the internet, software, creating an app, software as a service. The third is content systems. So content system includes books, blogging, magazines, anything that can be distributed at scale. And the fourth is distribution systems. Distribution systems is just the ability to move product to the masses through franchising, television marketing, network marketing. And the last is human resources. Human resources is basically using people to scale, which is mandatory, but also the most difficult and the most expensive of all of these systems. Having a high quality team that buys into your vision will definitely help you nurture your entire system. On the contrary, making a bad hire can really prune your entire money tree in your system. Now, one of the main concepts of Millionaire Fastlane is the idea of building up a money system or a money tree. And this can be explained through a story. So we have two guys here at the age of 18. We have a guy named Chuma and a guy named Azur. Now, Chuma and Azur are both tasked to build pyramids as a tribute to Egypt. These guys are nephews to a Egyptian pharaoh. But we have Azur here, who is the Slowlane guy. And we have Chuma here, who is the Fastlane guy. And basically, the competition between the two is to see who can build the biggest, best pyramid for Egypt. So Mr. Azur here, Slowlane guy, basically starts dragging stones by himself to start building his pyramid on day one. He doesn't even take 1 day off to think about it. He just starts right away. And in a couple of months, his pyramid starts taking shapes. And what he's doing is basically going and he's bringing these stones one by one to build his pyramid. He starts lining these up one by one. And in the beginning stages, he's able to do so much, right? In the first layer, every day he's doing this all day long, one by one, just himself building these stones. Now, a couple months go by and Chuma, on the other hand, hasn't done anything. In fact, 6 months later, Azur here has basically built out his entire first layer and he's starting to work on the second layer. And Azur here goes to Chuma and he's like, look at me, I've already built this first layer. What are you doing? You haven't done anything yet. He's like concerned for Chuma. But what he doesn't realize is that this entire time, Chuma has been working on building a machine. Now it takes Chuma a couple years to build this machine. In fact, at year 3, Azur is actually now on like the third layer of his pyramid. Okay, he's been stacking rocks on this pyramid while Chuma basically still has nothing. His plot is still empty. Now, year 3 is where things start to get interesting because Azur starts getting frustrated because now it actually takes him 1 whole month to plant each new stone because his pyramid has gotten so big. And what he does is he starts paying for supplements, training. He basically pays people so that he can be stronger and stronger. And he continues to do this, but at this current pace, Azur realizes that it's going to take him 30 years to finish building the pyramid all the way to the top. In the slow lane, the default path is to use yourself, aka manual labor, trading time for money, as the road to wealth. By the end of year 3, Chuma's machine is ready to go. Within 1 week, he's built out the entire system just because he had built a machine to do it. So what can we conclude from this very simple story? In the Millionaire Slowlane, you get more results in the beginning. Remember, Azur was able to start building this pyramid basically right away. And for 3 years, he was far ahead of Chuma. But what happened is once he got to a certain point, he plateaued. And his results basically became stagnant. Now, on the other hand, in the fast lane, remember for the first 3 years, Chuma was doing nothing. He was spending all the time building this machine. It took him 3 years to do, and basically for the first 3 years, nothing happened in his pyramid. And it wasn't until year 3 that he was able to get results. The reason why the fast lane is the path that so few people travel really is because of those first few years. It typically takes 3 years to build the system and another 5 years to fully reap the benefits. Whereas in the slow lane, you get results from day one, but there's like a capped potential or a point where things do plateau. The whole idea of being in the Millionaire Fastlane is that you are working for many years to build up this system. Business systems, hiring people, SOPs, training, whatever it is that your business does, it's basically a machine that you build so that you eventually reap the benefits of it. But obviously this takes much more time than this one does. And this Fastlane here is also a much more difficult and dark time than it is here in the slow lane, where everything is pretty smooth sailing until you hit the plateau. Now, in this book, there's talk about Fastlane Commandments. There are 5 of them, and this is known as the Sense Framework. And this framework is pretty much like a checklist that can be applied to a business to see whether the business has the capability to put you in the Millionaire Fastlane very quickly. And if the business has all 5 of the commandments, then you can get really rich really fast. The 5 commandments are control, entry, need, time, and scale, sense. Let's start with control. Businesses in the fast lane control the things that go on in their business. In the fast lane, a business sells stocks, they don't buy stocks. They offer employment, they don't get employed. They sell franchises, they don't buy them. When you control your business, you control everything in the business. You control your organization, your products, your revenue, your org chart, all of your operational choices, the way you make money, the clients and customers that you choose to serve. Those are all within your control. The second commandment is entry. Typically speaking, the lower the barrier to entry, the more exceptional you will have to be. Ideally, the business you enter does not have extremely low barriers to entry, such that basically anybody could start a business. The commandment of need means that the business actually needs to solve a need. People who end up starting a business to try to make money usually end up not really making much money at all, because money is simply an exchange of value. And in order to make money with a business, you have to first give value to other people. Scale. If you cannot impact people at scale, then there is a huge limit to how much wealth that you can create. You also need reach and magnitude as well. So scale, reach, and magnitude. And the last is time. Your business and its income needs to detach from your time. There are definitely many businesses out there that what happens is the business owner ends up becoming married to their business. They can never step away for one day, for 1 week. The business cannot function without them. And it relies solely on the solopreneur or the entrepreneur to basically succeed. And what happens when a business doesn't have systems and automations to run on its own, then you basically become married to the business and you're buying yourself a job back. Now, not all businesses will meet every single one of these criteria, but to the extent that a business can meet all of these criteria, it can be classified as a fast lane business. Now, going back to the point about an adulterated commitment, there's a big difference between interest and commitment, according to MJ. Interest is when you work on your business full-time, 40 hours a week. That is when you are interested in something. Commitment is when you work on your business 7 days a week, whenever time permits. And in this book, he really talks about the first few years when you're building up your money trees and your systems, that you have to be willing to do whatever it takes, and there really is no time to do other things. A couple years of this hard work building up the money tree and the systems and sacrifice, which many people are not willing to do, you basically get to live a life that most people can't even imagine. Make sacrifices today for a better future. Headwinds and your environment are also critically important. Doesn't mean that you have to only spend time with other millionaires to be rich, but what you do need are people who understand and support your way of thinking, and people who also want to be better for themselves. Having those people in your life makes a huge difference. MJ talks about the trap of being around people who don't empower your goals. If you surround yourself with people who don't empower your goals, you're basically adding friction to your own journey. You're making it more difficult for yourself. And it's critically important to surround yourself with the right people. And it's very important to be in an enabling environment, or what MJ calls an accelerative wind. People are like roads. They can either bring opportunity to your life or they can bring distress to your life. Make sure you associate and hang out with as many people as possible that empower your goals and that can help you get to where you want to go. And this is something that every entrepreneur will go through as a part of their journey. Success follows when you can break these headwinds and put them onto your back. Your environment can also be a headwind as well. So if the work environment that you're in is very toxic, or your coworkers are not people that support people to be better, I mean, you spend 40 hours a week there. If you hate your job and your job absolutely drains you, then it's basically a headwind and it's adding friction to your journey. Now, here are some examples and stories from people in the fast lane, page 111 of the book. Inventors who create gadgets and sells millions of them to 15 wholesale distributors. The guy who builds a cell phone app and sells it 50,000 times. The guy who formulates an energy bar to stave off hunger and is offered $192 million for his company. The guy who builds a blog and 3 years later sells it to a big pharmaceutical company for $4 million. The guy who invents a mop and sells 500,000 of them on QVC. The guy who patents a process and licenses it to a Fortune 500 company and goes on to make 14 million. The guy who creates a website to help him listen to his favorite basketball team and later sells that company for $5.5 billion. The doctor who researches an anti-aging treatment and sells them to a drug company for $700 million. The entrepreneur who refines and improves a product process and goes on to sell it for $150K a month through a variety of channels, including e-commerce channels. The guy who creates a $20,000 a month supplement business, allowing him to travel the world and later sells it for $650,000. These are just some examples and story headlines of what being in the Millionaire Fastlane could look like. If you guys enjoyed this video today, including my terrible drawings of Chuma and Azur, luckily I'm not an artist, I'm an accountant, then make sure you check out my video up top here, where I talk about all of the lessons that I learned as an accountant working for high net worth individuals. Let me know down in the comments below what you liked about this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until next time.